you totally disgusted with winter? Tired of the cold and the snow? Then come with us to subtropical South Florida to mingle with the fortunate folks here to work on their tans. There's sun, fun, and big money racing excitement as we join the nation's top 3-year-olds in that eternal quest for the fountain of youth. Car rental racing across America is being presented by Visa. Welcome to Campaign 96. But we're not talking about politicians and primaries. This is a real horse race with 3-year-old thoroughbreds looking towards racing's biggest prize, the Kentucky Derby. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. Welcome as ESPN begins on our campaign towards the Triple Crown. We'll have 5 races coming up for you this spring from Florida, from Kentucky, and Louisiana, all heading to our expanded 15 hours of coverage on Kentucky Derby Day from Louisville. Let's start, though, right here with the Fountain of Youth, the 50th running of this race. Here are the conditions. It's Grade 2. The purse is $200,000 guaranteed, $120,000 to the winner. A mile and a 16th, around 2 turns for the 3-year-olds. The 4th leg in the Florida Derby Series, that big race on March 16th. And joining me now is Dave Johnson. Welcome to the campaign, Dave.
And hard to believe, Chris, just 70 days and 1 hour from right now, they're going to be playing my old Kentucky home at Churchill Downs on Derby Day.
These campaigners knew where to come to start because this race, the Fountain of Youth, has produced 13 winners of the Derby.
Now, with just 10 weeks, though, to the Derby, there are 2 main roads to the Spring Classics. We're going to be updating the California picture later in our program. But to see the impact of the Fountain of Youth on the Triple Crown, you only have to look far as last year. Thunder Gulch won this race. Here he is on the outside, defeating Schwab Prospect in the Fountain of Youth 1995. From here, he went on to win the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, and then he was named 3-year-old champion.
But even as astute a handicapper as you, Dave, knew that he was a dark horse last year at this time, Thunder Gulch. Not today's favorite. Unbridled Song. Dave, I've been hearing you talk about him since the middle of last year.
Well, remember all the whispers about him before he was ever even entered into a race. They were talking about him at Monmouth Park and at Saratoga. Finally, he was entered, scratched a couple times, but Chris, when he hit the track, he came a-running.
He did a great job in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile course last fall. Let's see those that will go against him this afternoon in the 1996 Fountain of Youth.
An Unbridled Song has drawn the rail, is the high weight of 119 pounds. Regular rider Mike Smith is aboard, and he's the 8-5 choice. Gator Dancer makes his 96 debut with Eddie Maple, a long shot. Louis Couture's scratched out of this one. He'll run on Monday. Gold Fever, Speedy, Pat Day rides 10-1. Tommy Hurd's Built for Pleasure is at 20 with Gary Boulanger. Appealing Skier, who was the winner of the Hutchison over Unbridled Song, expected to set the early pace today with Rick Wilson 8-1. Now, Wayne Lucas has a pair in here. They are not coupled because it's different ownership. Victory Speech, an 11-length allowance winner, and Editor's Note, who, don't forget, he was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. Gome 2, a long shot, and Frisco View, lightly raced and carefully handled. We'll have the services of Shane Sellers.
But Unbridled Song is the story at this point. He is not only our 8-5 morning line favorite, he is the favorite right now to win this year's Kentucky Derby. It's time to take a look at him in action, though. Let's go back to last fall's Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
And don't forget, this was only the 3rd start of his career. He really came into his own. Mike Smith in the irons on the inside, coming up, beating Hennessy to the wire. And we're going to find more about his learning process a little later in the show. But this was a tremendous victory in the $1 million Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Then, take a look at the Hutchison Stakes. Appealing Skier used his brilliant speed to upset Unbridled Song, who was the heavy favorite that day. A defeat and a wake-up call there. But the big question now is, will the result be different with these two going 2 turns for the first time?
It's a great time of year. A lot of questions. We'll try to find some answers today. Great new way, by the way, for you fans to track the 3-year-olds this year. As Visa and the Thoroughbred Racing Association has announced, the Visa 3-year-old Championship Series. Points are awarded for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place finishes in 46 different stakes, starting back in January, all the way through the Travers. There you see today's Fountain of Youth points. Now, they'll vary from Classic to Grade 1 all the way down to the Stakes Affairs. Right now on top of Fleet Affair, winner of the San Vicente. He is on top of the Visa 3-year-old championship standings. Weather in South Florida, oh, eat your heart out. Take a look at this. 78 degrees, sunny, light breeze, tropical breeze, if you will, and a fast racetrack. We're glad you're with us. We'll have more on some of our sprinters and champions ready to run for the 3-year-old season as ESPN begins on the Derby Campaign Trail 1996. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. Doubletree Hotels and Guest Suites, sweet dreams from Doubletree. And by Wittenauer Watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittenauer, the watchmaker's watch.
Long ago, man began renting cars only at airports, where Thrifty Car Rental was first discovered. But in the future, man would need wheels for reasons that had nothing to do with flying. Thus, the dawn of neighborhood thrifty locations far and wide, assuring a practical, easy, and affordable way to rent a car, wherever you are and wherever you're going. Your neighborhood Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates.
Look out, coming through.
Hey, number 7, move over.
Quit your nagging.
Whoa, jockey boy, you putting on a little weight?
Hey, Philly, nice shoes.
Loud crowd today.
You bet.
Excuse me, pardon me. Oops, sorry.
Hey, keep your hooves to yourself, fella.
Okay, big finish.
Bunch up, make it exciting.
Catch the April 27th running of the National Jockey Club Handicap, a $250,000 guaranteed purse for 4-year-olds and up. Get your nominations in by April 10th.
Smile. They're taking a picture.
My father always said, remember, son, to make it to the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta, you need determination, perseverance, and an iron will. Then he forgets the one bloomin' thing you really need.
Ah! You forgot your Visa card.
Visa.
Have fun.
The only card accepted at these Olympic Games.
That was my dad, wasn't it?
It's everywhere you want to be.
For more than 90 years, the name Oaklawn has meant tradition and excitement. Located in beautiful Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas, Oaklawn's 64-day meet boasts almost 13 million in purses, capped by the famed Racing Festival of the South, April 5th through 13th. The Arkansas Derby runs 3 weeks prior to the Kentucky Derby, making Oaklawn the perfect stopover for Triple Crown hopefuls. And join us online at www.oaklawn.com. See tradition in the making at Oaklawn.
Derby Campaign 96, our theme here as we head towards Churchill Downs on that first Saturday in May. And the Fountain of Youth, our first stop here. We've talked in particular about our 3-year-old starting this afternoon, the 9 sophomores that go, but in a little bit of a different perspective, as he usually has. Let's bring in Tom Durkin now for a look at these ever-changing sophomores.
You know what they say? You know, they say that 1 year in the life of a human is equivalent to 7 years in the life of a thoroughbred. So for the sake of illustration, let's just agree with them and compare 2-year-olds to 3-year-olds. Remember that kid in your 8th grade class? Big monster, but just a couple years later, he didn't grow any? Same is the case with 2-year-olds to 3-year-olds. Some of them just grow faster as 2-year-olds. And in the spring of their 3-year-old season, in this accelerated life of the thoroughbred, changes can come quickly. So in these spring races, these preps for the Kentucky Derby, if you see an upset, just blame it on puberty.
Thank you, Tom. Think of that as you're tearing up those tickets. Well, one of the top contenders who is not in the field today is Cobra King of Betty and Gary Bazant. He was such a star in Southern California. Then they unleashed him here in Florida, won the Holy Bull, but he's sitting this one out. We asked his young trainer, Mike Pipey, about the decision to pass on this race.
We thought it'd be more conservational to skip the race, save the horse for the Florida Derby. He shows an affinity already to run fresh. He's doing well. So maybe I'll catch those horses when they're maybe a little bit more tired. Maybe they'll be a little more fit as well, but I'll have the horse ready. He does very well training fresh, and we have no regrets whatsoever.
A lot of excitement about Cobra King now on both coasts. He's proven himself on both coasts already. You know, if you want to get a early line on a Kentucky Derby horse, you better go to Nick Zito's barn here. I mean, after all, he has won 2 of the last 5 Kentucky Derbies. Got 2 pretty good prospects this year. Louis Couture is supposed to be in our race this afternoon, but Nick, no surprise, scratched him, decided to wait until Monday, allowance race here at Gulfstream. There's another one they're talking about, though, owned by the Yankees owner, George Steinbrenner. It's a colt called Diligence. Very impressive in an allowance win here, as we asked Nick about that race and about the prospects of Diligence.
The horse that he beat, Titan, was 3rd in the Holy Bull, behind Cobra King and Editor's Note, and ran, you know, fairly well. And he won that race with the greatest of ease, and he's a wonderful horse. He's a little light, and if he just stays the same, we'll be in good shape. And I think when you have horses that way, again, you got to exercise patience and not throw them to the wolves. So his spot would be what a race called the Unbridled Stakes, which is run the same day Florida Derby.
Well, is he ducking big competition? I'm not going to second-guess Nick Zito, not with his Derby record, Dave. And let's get a little update now on the California primaries, Dave. How are those ones doing?
Well, the next big race out on the left coast is the San Rafael, and the distance of that one is 1 mile. It's scheduled for March the 2nd. Taking a look at some of the competitors, Cavanier, who won the El Camino Real, is a possibility, and the 1, 2, 3 finishers from the San Vicente, which was at 7 furlongs, are going to be there, along with Smithfield and Matty G, who were 2nd and 3rd in the mile and the 16th Santa Catalina. But a man operating on all fronts is D. Wayne Lucas, and we asked Wayne what was the latest news from his California headquarters.
Well, we're a little bit deeper, but we're probably a little bit more in the dark out there, too. Prince of Thieves, I thought, did very well. And, of course, he's got a 2-turn stake under his belt at a mile and 16th. That's significant at this time, and he's sitting on a race probably early March to see if we can do it again. So I think he's a solid horse, and I think he has to be considered in the mix, certainly. Honor and Glory is going to get his first 2-turn race on March 2nd in the San Felipe out there. And he's a very, very fast horse, and we're spending most of our time trying to harness some of his speed right now. Hennessy's right on the verge of getting a start, and we'll probably start him short the first time. He raced in December, so he's a little bit further behind than the others. It wouldn't take him long to get back into the fray because he is a proven winner with a lot of earnings and a lot of seasoning, and so all he needs is a couple of races, and he could be in the picture.
Chris, Hennessy is going to make a lot of noise before they lay that blanket of roses over any horses with her the first Saturday in May. Now, next month, well, or so about there, a lot of roads are going to be opening up to the Triple Crown. They're going to be racing in Arkansas and Kentucky, and New York's going to heat up, and also a terrific place for a 3-year-old, Louisiana.
No better place to go either, the historic fairgrounds on St. Patrick's Day, if you believe it. Louisiana Derby, we'll have it live on ESPN2 at 4:30, then a 9:30 Pacific replay that night right here on ESPN, the Louisiana Derby. And let's take a look now at Caesar's Palace. Their future book odds will give you for the horses here in Florida prepping for that road to the Triple Crown. As you see, Unbridled Song is the future book favorite for the Kentucky Derby at Caesars. There are some other ones you'll see coming out. Cobra King later. Editor's Note in our race. Diligence waiting. Appealing Skier is our race at 18-1. Well, you may be asking yourself, what about the big news story here? What about the Super Horse of the Year, Cigar? What about his injury? We'll answer all those questions when we come back to Gulfstream Park.
Hi, Daytona. I'm Julie here at DeLand Honda, the new car dealer in DeLand who sells lots of used cars and trucks, including Central Florida's best selection of over 50 pre-owned Hondas, like this 95 Civic hatchback for only $99.95 with no down payment. Or how about this loaded 94 Accord for only $12,995, again with no down payment. Drive away today at DeLand Honda, just minutes away on Highway 1792, where the selection is great, prices are low, and the buying is easy.
When thinking of the world's finest automobiles, one name comes to mind, Mercedes-Benz. Now add another name to the list, Higginbotham Automobiles, the most trusted Mercedes-Benz dealer in Central Florida. Located in Daytona Beach, Higginbotham Automobiles is the area's premier source for personalized Mercedes-Benz service.
We offer free local shuttle and early bird drop-off for your convenience.
Come see why Higginbotham has made a name for itself in Central Florida.
Here at Sports Center, we have a serious obligation to give our audience the sports that they want to see. We agonize over those decisions every day. And I got to tell you, your sport in the 1990s in America, it's just not there. There aren't enough people watching it. I'm sorry, fellas. Maybe next year.
Next. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa, welcomes you back to Gulfstream Park in South Florida. Youngsters of all age enjoying a beautiful sunshine day in Florida. Much of the news, though, this week has surrounded not the 3-year-olds, but the older horse, the 6-year-old older horse, the Horse of the Year, Cigar. They came up with some heat in his right front leg on Wednesday, checked, pulled the shoe off on Thursday, found an abscess in his foot, treated that. And now we had a chance this morning to go to Billy Mott's barn and ask the trainer of the Horse of the Year, Cigar, for a little update on his progress.
We feel he's much better this morning. He's bearing a lot of weight on his foot. He's moving around the stall very well. We actually wrapped the foot up, and I had him out and walked him for about 35 minutes, and then let him stand out in the sun, and he took a little nap out in the sun, and he seemed happy, and his attitude is good. He's been eating well, and I was fairly pleased with the way he was moving around today, even though he doesn't have a shoe on the foot yet. We'd wrapped it up, and he did seem to be just a little bit tender on it yet.
So the big cap is out?
I would say at this point. I mean, it's, you know, it's Saturday morning, and I don't see any chance of taking him back to the track tomorrow or the next day right now. I mean, I think the earliest we're looking at would probably be midweek, maybe Wednesday, maybe it'll be Thursday. Now, if that's the case, you know, there's no way. We've just missed too much training.
It is official. Cigar is on it next Saturday's Big Cap. Now they hold their breath halfway around the world in Dubai. Will they be ready for the March 27th $4 million Dubai World Cup? That is the next target for Cigar. Well, Cigar certainly made his mark here at Gulfstream, winning 2 big races here in his career, including this year's Don Handicap. We expect to see him in the Garden of Champions before his career is over. That's where our host, Doug Dunn, is one of his favorite places on the racetrack.
When you come to Gulfstream, one thing you don't want to miss is our Garden of Champions. It represents our history and the great horses that have run at Gulfstream over the last 50 years. Some of my favorites date back to Kelso, multi-horse of the year, and one of the great horses of all time. Forgo was a horse that I saw when I first got into the business. He was an imposing big horse who won our Don Handicap and Gulfstream Park Handicap in the 70s. One of the greatest races I ever saw is represented here by Spectacular Bid. He won the Florida Derby in 1979 and did it in a way that was unusual but spectacular. He was stopped cold 3 times and won the race convincingly. My favorite race at Gulfstream is also represented here in the Garden of Champions with 2 great champions in the same year, Easy Goer and Sunday Silence. They dueled for the Horse of the Year honors in the 1989 Breeders' Cup Classic. So remember, when you come to Gulfstream, make sure you visit the Garden of Champions in our beautiful grandstand paddock area and enjoy the food while you're here too.
Well, Doug, we're enjoying it, and so is the crowd at more than 16,000. They'll bet some $4 million on track, more than $14 million all total. A lot of sports going on in South Florida. ESPN's covering it for you. Invite you to join us 6 o'clock Eastern for second round coverage of the senior event, the American Express Invitational. Its inaugural tournament, $900,000 the purse. That's at 6 o'clock Eastern. And enjoy some music here in the park at Gulfstream. We'll be right back.
Through the winter, we recall the victories of summer and anticipate the promise of spring.
A new source of savings arrives out of the blue. Launching a new alliance between Western Pacific Airlines and Thrifty Car Rental will bring more of what travelers want above all, low rates, making Thrifty and Western Pacific birds of a feather. For car rental reservations, call your professional travel agent or 1-800-4CARS. Your neighborhood thrifty car rental, historically known for low rates.
No one else but Hollywood Park gives you nearly $3 million in 4 of their richest stakes. You've got until March 22nd to nominate your horse to run in some of the best racing Hollywood Park has to offer. There's the historic $1 million Hollywood Gold Cup, the inaugural $700,000 Shoemaker Breeders' Cup Mile, the $700,000 Caesars Palace Turf Championship, and a $500,000 Swap Stakes. Come be a part of Hollywood Park's richest season ever.
Big Monday means conference rivals take it to the iron. At 7:30, John Wallace and the Orange roll down to the Big Apple to battle St. John's. Then at 9:30, Jayhawks Superfrosh Paul Pierce in Kansas welcome the Missouri Tigers to Lawrence for a Big 8 border war. Syracuse St. John's at 7:30, Missouri Kansas at 9:30. Big Monday, presented by Bud Light, Monday on ESPN.
About a furlong away from the Atlantic Ocean here at Gulfstream Park in South Florida. Here come our sophomore stars, the field for the 1996 Fountain of Youth. And to recap all the action in horse racing, you know the place to be. The Racehorse Digest, Wednesday, 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. For all the news in thoroughbred, standardbred, and quarter horses. And, of course, don't forget for all the scores and big sports stories, 3 times an hour right here on ESPN. Well, it's time now to kind of catch up on some of the equine candidates in our Florida Sunshine primary. And who better to do that than our politician, Tom Durkin.
You know, seeing the results of the New Hampshire primary and the post-election spin by the Republicans made me think that this presidential primary process is a lot like the process leading to the Kentucky Derby. You don't have to win to stay in the race. It's not a single elimination tournament. Just ask Gopher Gin or Swale or Pleasant Colony or Unbridled, all horses that lost the Fountain of Youth yet won the Kentucky Derby. Or ask Bill Clinton, who also ran in New Hampshire, yet had enough momentum coming out of that race. Well, I think you know the rest of that story. So here is the field for the Fountain of Youth primary. The Bob Doles of the field. Unbridled song and editor's note. Impressive credentials, a proven record against the very best. A very strong performance is expected, but a loss is not a total disaster this early in the game. The Pat Buchanans. These are not populists, protectionists, or any other kinds of ists. These are horses that need to step up and prove viability today in graded stakes company going 2 turns. Appealing skier is unbeaten sprinting. Victory Speech, he was a dark horse just a month ago, and Gator Dancer his first start this year. The Lamar Alexanders of the field. Not that much charisma, good credentials, and a real need to finish in the money or start thinking of getting out of the Triple Crown race. And the Bob Dornan of the race. Bob who, you say? So did 98% of the New Hampshire voters. Our Bob Dornan is built for pleasure. So now it's time for you to vote. Time for you to make your choice. And as my father would say, he was a Democratic precinct captain in the city of Chicago, don't forget, vote early, vote often.
Well, Tom, they are not stuffing the ballot boxes, but they are stuffing the mutual windows. They're voting with dollars, and a lot of them going on number 1. Unbridled Song is now the 1 to 2 choice up there. But getting Unbridled Song to his status as today's favorite has been no easy task. Oh, sure, the colt has always had tremendous ability, but there were lessons to be learned from both trainer Jim Ryerson and jockey Mike Smith. Now, after his smashing maiden win at Saratoga, Unbridled Song was next seen in the Grade 1 Champagne, and yeah, he had a surprise for his connections.
We felt that he probably would lay very close, but never envisioned that he would open up the lead that he did. He caught myself and I think even Mike a little bit by surprise.
He's a big colt, and he never really breaks that quick, but after 2 or 3 jumps, when he gets to running, because we didn't know all this. Then when I broke his maiden, he broke very quick, very fast. So he broke just a step slow, and I just kind of nudged him a couple of times and dropped my hands, and to my surprise, man, I was 7 in front of the field, you know, which was, you know, of course, the wrong thing to do. I mean, you're already running with this kind of company, and now I mean, he can do things that easy, but if you can keep from having to do it, I mean, why do it? And that's just the way. But what really amazed me about that race was the way he hung in there. Them horses really didn't beat him all that bad. He winds up only getting beat 4 lengths and hung in very tough.
The teachers set out to help the colt relax for his engagement in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. The result was a victory, with a slight assist from a poor start.
It was great. You know, he responded to it. He took all the dirt in the face well, which he's never had done in his face before. He took that. It took him just a little bit to get used to it, but he got used to it and came through well. And we found out a lot about him, that boy, he'll really sit off a horse, and he can take some banging around. He's the kind of horse that you look for in these Triple Crowns, because boy, they're tough races. You get knocked down a lot, and a lot of things happen, and he can overcome those kind of things, so it's a good thing.
After freshening this winter, Unbridled Song found himself facing the speedy, appealing skier at 7 furlongs in the Hutchison. Would he chase his front-running foe or stick to the learning program?
You know, with all the time that we put into him and how long a year he has hopefully ahead of him, we didn't want to just undo it the first race back. So we were careful on that, and Benny's horse ran well. We weren't able to beat him, but I think hopefully down the road that will prove that it will help our horse down the road. So.
And now Unbridled Song has his eye on the Fountain of Youth, and his team of instructors feel their student is right where they want him.
I wouldn't trade my place or his place with anybody trading him. You know, I'm happy that he got the time, and I think that helped him. And giving him the time, sometimes you worry about how they'll come back, but he seems to be training real well, so I'm pleased with him.
If he just runs the halfway of my expectations, that'd probably be good enough.
Unbridled Song's colorful and very confident owner, Ernie Perigallo, in the paddock. Ernie thought he'd sold Unbridled Song for $1.4 million, but then they turned him back to him, and he's happy to have his own colt today.
They enter the court in ceremony. Man connects with animal, and the beat begins. Pounding hooves, racing hearts, joyful noise. And man's judgment may ring true, and it may play false. Still, there's a connection, and the rhythm races on. The heart of racing's beating stronger than ever. Make a joyful noise. The track is back. The New Orleans Fairgrounds.
Sweet dream, baby. Sweet dream, baby. Sweet dream, baby. How long must I dream?
Sweet dreams from Doubletree.
6 nights a week, ESPN2 brings you the news, reviews, previews, and interviews from on and off the track. It's 30 minutes of pure friction. RPM tonight, Monday through Friday at 7, and Sundays at 6:30.
You're looking live at the paddock at Gulfstream Park on Fountain of Youth Day. Maybe somewhere in there is a Kentucky Derby winner. Let's go to Dave Johnson.
Well, as we get closer to the Derby, the phone of Mr. Pat Day will start to ring a little more often as trainers start to look for his services. But, you know, you won the Derby with Lily T in 1992. What would it take today for Gold Fever to stay in your front line of possibilities?
Well, he's certainly trained well up to this race, Dave, and a big effort out of him would keep him right in our sights. You know, I've got the utmost confidence in Shug McGahee, and Shug's got a couple of other runners over there, too, that'll be coming up to the, to the Derby, Roar and Draw, right, and we're just hopeful that this horse will give us a good performance today. I know he ran third to these horses 2 weeks ago, excuse me, and Shug didn't have him geared up real tight for that race. It was a big performance, and hopefully one that he can build on and prove himself a little better today.
A little different this spring, because last spring you were sitting on the early favorite for the Triple Crown, Timber Country. Now here you are, well, not really decided on a horse.
No, we're just kind of floating around and making ourselves available, and you know, it's worked out. As I look back over the past, a number of riders have been in a like position, such as ours, at this stage of the game, and inevitably have wound up on the winner. I know when Chris McCarron secured the mount on Ellie Sheba, he was that way. He was just coming back from an injury, was without a mount coming into the, into the classic races, and was able to secure the mount on Ellie Sheba, and, the rest was history. So we're optimistic that it'll work out that way for us this year.
And a man who's a part of history, having won the Kentucky Derby, Pat Day. Good luck with Gold Fever today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Chris?
There you're looking on Bridle Saw the Roan, and you see acting up a bit as they're trying to get the equipment on him here in the paddock. So the Roan, who right now is the heavy betting favorite here, acting up a bit. Well, this game is about past performances. That's where you look to get the key to the future. You're looking for past performances, and winning Triple Crown races go no further than the warrant of D. Wayne Lucas. He has a record 5 consecutive Triple Crown race victories. He swept the Triple Crown last year with 2 different colts, something that had never been done in history. Today, he sends out 2 colts. Victory speech, and from Overbrook Farms, editor's note. Here's Wayne's thoughts on his horses.
I think he's a combination. The horse, actually, from being around him, is, if you take 2 of horses that I trained, he's a combination of Thunder Gulch and Tabasco Cat. He's got a similar career to Thunder Gulch, where he's now just coming into focus a little bit here in the spring, which is great. He's got that ability. I think the native ability is there. He has a little bit of Tabasco Cat in that he's a little bit unpredictable. He's kind of like the young player that's got a lot of ability, and he scores 30 points one game, and then the next game he has 8 turnovers. I mean, he'll do that to you. He's got a lot of a life to him. He's a high feeler. We have to school him a lot. We have to be careful what we put him into, because he can raise some hell out there. So he's got a little Tabasco Cat in him in that respect. But if he'll put the combination of those 2 together, that isn't all bad. Victory speech is coming off a nice little run here, but 2 of them were short, and then we ran the other day the long race, and he won very impressive, and that's what we were looking for. It'll be interesting to see how he adapts to this tougher race and going 2 turns for the second time. But I think that his ability's there. If he gets a good trip, I think he'll be a factor.
The one and only voice of the Triple Crown, the host of the show, there's Jim McKay of ABC Sports, getting a little homework in before his March 16th debut right here at Gulfstream with the Florida Derby.
Fred Engel just bought fertilizer for the women's gymnastics team. The Garcias got a new love seat for America's boxers. Deborah Bishop just bought 5 dresses for the U.S. decathlon team. And Tony Johnson, a new garden hose for the U.S. mountain bikers. When you use your Visa card, Visa will make a donation to help all our Olympic hopefuls go for the gold. Like Jerry Graff, who picked out this new aquarium for the synchronized swimmers. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Over the last 40 years, 56 champions have been foaled and raised at Claiborne Farm.
Swale with Finkai continues to lead the way by a length.
Brown favorite in front, by 3/4 of a length, and coming away.
Down to the final 16th, it's Ruffian, in front by 2.
49er hanging tough, here comes sinking the ball.
Claiborne Farm. The tradition continues. Car rental was born at the airport, not long after man's first flight arrived. But soon man discovered reasons to rent that had nothing to do with flying. That's when thrifty car rental got rolling, right in the neighborhood. Such convenience has made Thrifty's historically low rates a way of life, whether or not you happen to be flying. Your neighborhood thrifty car rental, historically known for low rates.
Your Derby dreams next May could begin at Barrett's this March. The 1995 March sale has already produced top Derby candidates on both coasts. Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner Unbridled Song in the East. And in the West, arch rivals of Fleet Affair and Honor and Glory.
Outside, Fleet Affair, Honor and Glory, they run for the wire together. Close between those.
Buy at Barrett's and be on track for the Triple Crown.
You're back just in time for the post parade for the 50th running of the Fountain of Youth Stakes. Let's start with the one horse and the overwhelming 3-5 favorite Unbridled Song. It's prove it time for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner after second in his 96 debut, the Hutchison. He's still the future buck Kentucky Derby favorite. Mike Smith, the rider, he won the race last year on Thunder Gulch. The 2 is Gator Dancer, making his 96 debut, has not raced since November. Good 2-year-old, though, and he won the Cowden. Eddie Maple, 2-time winner of this race, has them out. We scratched the 3, Nick Zito's Louis Quatorze, and now we go to the 4. Gold Fever in the color of Cynthia Phipps, third of the Hutchison Stakes in his 96 debut, even with a bad inside position. He's had several bullet works here. The rider, Hall of Famer Pat Day. The 5, Built for Pleasure, has already won here at this mile in a 16th distance in Allowance Company and did it wire to wire. Gary Boulanger, 8th in the standings, has the assignment. The 6 is Appealing Skier. Front-running speedster, winner of the Hutchison Stakes, only loss in 5 races, was his last place finish on the muddy track at Belmont for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Rick Wilson, the rider. Victory Speech, the first of the 2 from Team Lucas, on a 3-race win streak, really got people's attention with an 11.5-length allowance victory in his last start. It's the Kentucky Derby winning team, Tabor, Lucas, and rider Gary Stevens. The 8 is Editor's Note from Overbrook Farm, $125,000 Keeneland sale purchase. A quality colt, second here in the Holy Bull in his 3-year-old debut. Third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Eclipse champion rider Jerry Bailey, 1980 winner of the Fountain of Youth, is in the irons. Gom 2 is the 9 horse, third in the Spectacular Bid, fourth in the Holy Bull, a Canadian Invader. Spectacular up north last year as a 2-year-old. He was first or second in 6 of 7 starts. Walter Guerra has the assignment today. Rounding out the field, an $85,000 Keeneland purchase. This is Frisco View from the barn of Frankie Brothers, has won his 296 starts in Allowance Company, though. Frankie taking a big step today, but he has Gulfstream's leading rider, Shane Sellers, in the irons. Back to the paddock and Dave Johnson.
A few quick observations. Unbridled Song, the heavy favorite now at 3-5, was really fractious in the paddock. He was kicking, and he was sweating, and he was double shanked. He was really acting up. Editor's Note, perfectly fine, a real gentleman. Look at him now, though. He's getting a little keyed up. But in terms of looking, this is the best-looking horse that was in the paddock for the Fountain of Youth. Chris?
All our talk has been, it seems, on the favorite for this race, Unbridled Song, at 3-5 now, but that's no value. We have value for you. Here's the Budweiser long shot for the Fountain of Youth.
Today's Budweiser long shot, number 10, Frisco View, has developed nicely from last season. And since his 3-year-old birthday, he's 2 for 2, including this allowance tally over this racetrack at today's distance. More pluses. And his rider, Shane Sellers, the leading jockey of the meet, has teamed up with trainer Frankie Brothers for 8 victories this year. And Shane likes his chances.
Well, he's a speedy type of coach, so I expect to be somewhere in the first flight, and just hopefully we can get a good pace where it's not too fast. And if I can be stalking him, that'd be perfect. You know, I have an outside post, so hopefully the race can develop early into the first turn and I can get a position. And hopefully we can run him down.
He's been working like a bullet in his morning drills, and although he's earned only $46,000, the least in the field, we think Frisco View will bring home the most as today's Budweiser long shot.
Frisco View opened at 12-1. He's now up to 16-1 as our Budweiser long shot. Post time next for the Fountain of Youth.
Hi, Daytona. I'm Julie here at DeLand Honda, the new car dealer in DeLand who sells lots of used cars and trucks, including Central Florida's best selection of over 50 pre-owned Hondas, like this 95 Civic hatchback for only $99.95 with no down payment. Or how about this loaded 94 Accord for only $12,995, again with no down payment. Drive away today at DeLand Honda, just minutes away on Highway 1792, where the selection is great, prices are low, and the buying is easy.
East Coast Gym, Daytona's original beachside gym since 1981, is now even bigger and better. An all-new expansion now features daily aerobics classes with Daytona's top instructors, an all-new beautiful cardio room that makes you feel right at home, private showers and lockers. Come in and visit our friendly staff and check out our new pro shop with an outrageous selection of workout clothes, supplements, and vitamins. East Coast Gym on the corner of Seabreeze and Halifax, the best workout experience Daytona has to offer.
You're right. The real way to do it is take the body out and the head's going to fall. You got to rip. You got to dig.
Sunday Night Boxing on ESPN2.
Thrifty Car Rental racing across America, presented by Visa, welcomes you back as the starting gate is set at the 16th pole here at Gulfstream Park for the mile and a 16th Fountain of Youth. Let's take a look at the current odds now, presented by Auto Tote. And as we told you on Bridal Song, big favorite, 4-5, Gator Dancer price. The Couture's again scratched by Nick Zito. Gold Fever at 9. Built for Pleasure, huge price, 99 is the figure on the board. Appealing Skier at 16. Bit of an overlay it looks there. That's the one, of course, that beat Unbridled Song in his last start, the Hutchison. Victory Speech at 6. Editor's Note getting big support at 5-2 from Team Lucas. Come to another big price. And Frisco View, the Budweiser long shot, at 16. Thoroughbred Racing's about opinions, of course, and that's why we have a feature called Nose to Nose. We bring together a couple of handicappers who, believe me, have opinions. Nose to Nose for the Fountain of Youth. We've brought together Marty McGee and John Pritchie.
John, I'm from Kentucky and you're from New York, and I'd kind of have a problem with that. You guys from New York try and make racing too fancy schmancy, try and make it too complicated. There's one thing about today's Fountain of Youth Stakes, and it's very simple. Unbridled Song is the best horse. He has the rail. He's got Mike Smith. He would prove that he was the best last year as a 2-year-old. He comes off a very ideal prep. Why make it so hard? He's the best horse in the race.
Well, you may be right. He is going to be a better horse than he was in the Hutchison, but he's not going to be as good a horse as he's going to be in the Florida Derby. And let me ask you something, Mr. Hardboot Smarty. How would you run if you had a toothache? Did you know that Editor's Note had a toothache when he ran in the Holy Bull Stakes? That's right. That's why he was jerking his head up and down. They changed the bit on him. They cut the little hole in the blinkers, I guess like Barry Fitzgerald, whatever. This horse is on top of his game. He's going to win this race today.
John, I think, you know, today being your 52nd birthday, you're pretty much affected. I know you're still a good rider. Obviously, you're very eloquent, but I think age is getting the better of you.
Well, you may think so, but, you know, if you want to see 52, you better get out of my face, and you better have a place ticket on Unbridled Song today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And these guys really do like each other, believe me. Well, there's the starting gate waiting for the 3-year-olds to load and up the top of the stands. Let's get a quick word from our announcer, Tom Durkin.
Well, Editor's Note came out onto the track before his last race, and he was throwing his head all around and jumping up and down, acting in a fairly disagreeable manner. What Jerry Bailey did with him today, he took him to the backstretch and tried to get him relaxed. He took him away from all the other horses, and now as he's moving to the gate, the other horses are coming to him. With mixed results. He's still a little keyed up. Just a moment ago, he was throwing that head back and forth, swishing his tail in a rather disagreeable kind of mood. So it's very key watching Editor's Note in the race. Bailey's task early is to get this horse to relax.
Editor's Note, the 8 horse, you'll recognize them in the white and the green of Overbrook Farms. Dave Johnson, let's discuss a little bit about pace now, very important in this race.
Well, one of the things that we should be looking at is number 6, Appealing Skier. Rick Wilson is the rider. And this horse, the big question mark is, can the horse get a distance? I think he can certainly get a mile and a 16th. And we asked his trainer, Ben Perkins, about it.
Well, you can look at him. You can see yourself. He's a big, beautiful horse. Got beautiful hay. And he's very, very easygoing, very calm. Big, strong horse. A big, long stride. and a lot of determination. I think the horse that outruns him early won't be in the money because he'll have to run awful fast to be in front of us. You know, I know they say that Unbridled Song wasn't trying the other day, but he was trying his ass off to beat us.
Ben Perkins Sr., salty horseman there, giving his charge a boost here with Appealing Skier. Talking about Unbridled Song, his competitor. He's also got some others in this one, including the full horse. Here is Gold Fever from Cynthia Phipps's barn. Shug McGahee trains, and Shug, of course, knows that he has to prove himself in this race. Has a couple things he wants to see out of him. Can he handle the distance? Can he handle this type of competition? Dave, who do you like in the 50th Fountain of Youth?
I think our Bud Longshot Frisco View has a chance, but if I had to pick one right now, it'd be Editor's Note.
And there you see going in fact, in the colors that were in the Kentucky Derby last year, there is Victory Speech. Let's go to the top of the stands. Tom Durkin set to call the race for us. Tom?
Looking at the starting gate there, it's a pretty tight run to the first turn. It's a one tight furlong going into the first turn. Definite disadvantage to horses in the outside post, particularly Gom2 and Frisco View in this case. Both horses with good tactical speed and might have to be used up a little bit to get some kind of position as they go into that first turn. Appealing Skier also, of course, figures to get out quickly. He's breaking right in the middle of the pack. And Unbridled Song on the rail. Here we go. They're in the gate. And they're off. Appealing Skier comes out running today right after the lead. Built for Pleasure down inside. Victory Speech has come out third. Unbridled Song is fourth, and he's reined in by Mike Smith. Also taken in hand, Gom2, Frisco View, caught 5 wide going into the clubhouse turn. Then Gold Fever taking to the inside. Editor's Note at the back of the pack. And stretch running Gator Dancer settles into an easy gallop. He's about 10 or 12 lengths from the early lead. And Gom2 now is taken over. It's Gom2 in front. The opening quarter went in 23 4/5 seconds. Just off his flank is Frisco View now running in second. Unbridled Song taking to the outside, and he's really keyed up today. Mike Smith trying to take a hold of him, but Unbridled Song wants to go. Appealing Skier is fourth with 4.5 furlongs to run. Victory Speech is fifth, 5 lengths from the lead. Then Built for Pleasure, Gold Fever down inside. Editor's Note now. Jerry Bailey wants a bit more from him. He's 10 lengths behind at the half-mile pole. 5 lengths back to stretch running Gator Dancer. They ran a half in a strong 47 1/5 seconds. Gom2 and Unbridled Song. And Unbridled Song has taken the lead with 3 furlongs to go. Appealing Skier, Victory Speech now charging hard on the outside to confront Unbridled Song as they near the top of the stretch. Built for Pleasure is also putting in a belated bid now. And Editor's Note is only 3 lengths behind in traffic as the field turns for home. Victory Speech and Unbridled Song going head-to-head. Appealing Skier is there on the outside. Built for Pleasure on the extreme outside. Built for Pleasure coming on now. It is Unbridled Song, Victory Speech, Built for Pleasure trying to post a huge upset in the Fountain of Youth. And Built for Pleasure has a short lead. Unbridled Song battling back bravely. Here's the line. Built for Pleasure wins. 99-1. Is it possible? Unbridled Song was also right there at the end. Bob Dornan, President of the United States. Well, I don't know, but Built for Pleasure was the winner unofficially of the Fountain of Youth. The board says 99-1. That's the minimum prize.
Good heavens, is it possible that we could have Buchanan in the White House? Wow, anything might be possible here as Built for Pleasure, a Bay 3-year-old son of home builder, bred by Eclipse Award-winning breeder John Franks in Florida, owned and trained by Thomas Hurd Jr., ridden by Gary Boulanger, has stunned the crowd here as he beat the Breeders' Cup champion and one of Lucas's top ones. Dave, how did he do it?
Well, he did it on the outside, and he was faster than the other 8. That's how he did it. Beautiful ride by Gary Boulanger. Mike Smith on the inside with a last desperate effort with Unbridled Song. Gary Stevens between horses with Victory Speech. But at 99-1, Built for Pleasure. What a 3-year-old year we're going to have if Built for Pleasure takes the Fountain of Youth. And a big congratulations to Tommy Hurd, who told me about this horse back at Saratoga. And Built for Pleasure is the unofficial winner. We'll be right back from Gulfstream Park.
enter the court in ceremony. Man connects with animal, and the beat begins. Pounding hooves, racing hearts, joyful noise. A man's judgment may ring true, and it may play false. Still, there's a connection, and the rhythm races on. The heart of racing's beating stronger than ever. Make a joyful noise. The track is back. The New Orleans Fairgrounds.
It's as old as the wheel. Man seeks rental cars that are not only nice, but of course nearby. That's why Thrifty made them so handy. With car rentals right at the airport or right in the neighborhood.
Look for the Thrifty location nearest you. And don't forget to use your Montgomery Ward credit card at Montgomery Ward Car Rental at all Thrifty locations.
Your neighborhood Thrifty car rental, historically known for low rates.
For more than 90 years, the name Oaklawn has meant tradition and excitement. Located in beautiful Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas, Oaklawn's 64-day meet boasts almost 13 million in purses, capped by the famed Racing Festival of the South, April 5th through 13th. The Arkansas Derby runs 3 weeks prior to the Kentucky Derby, making Oaklawn the perfect stopover for Triple Crown hopefuls. And join us online at www.oaklawn.com. See tradition in the making at Oaklawn.
College basketball. There used to be some on. That was okay. Then there was more. For a while, that seemed like plenty. Wouldn't it be cool if you could see more of the games you wanted? Your school's games. The games that matter most. The late season matchups that make the difference leading up to the big dance. Well, the ball's in your court. You just got to contact your local cable operator or DirecTV, and they'll hook you up to ESPN Full Court. It's your season subscription to the NCAA.
Gotta go. The crowd is buzzing, or maybe it's gasping, as Built for Pleasure, the unofficial winner of the 1996 Fountain of Youth, has stunned the crowd. Remember, the odds board simply showed 99-1. That's because it can go no higher. We can hardly wait to see the payoffs on this one. Owned and bred and trained by Thomas Hurd Jr., ridden by Gary Boulanger. Accepting congratulations, has to be one of the biggest victories in Gary's career, this Grade 2 $200,000 event. And the breeder, John Franks in Florida. What a story here. Remember, I told you earlier, though, he had already won at this track, at this distance, in wire-to-wire fashion. And today, he held off a Breeders' Cup champion and one of the stars of the Lucas set. Tom Durkin with a closer look at this year's surprising Fountain of Youth.
We'll pick up the action on the far turn. The horse in the orange is the eventual winner, Built for Pleasure. Take a look at the horse to his inside, Editor's Note, who's going to run into some traffic problems. Built for Pleasure taking the overland route here, and there you see Jerry Bailey. He will have to steady Editor's Note in behind a peeling skier who comes outside, taking all the momentum away from Editor's Note. A few minuses here for Unbridled Song, who ran a very good race, but no matter what Mike Smith did, he didn't pass the test today of trying to get this horse to relax. They're going to have to work on Unbridled Song and get him to relax. In the meantime, Built for Pleasure runs a huge race, the race of his 3-year-old life. He was wide going around the far turn, about 6 or 7 paths out from the rail at the top of the stretch, and nonetheless wins, paying $288. Chris?
I'm sure also Wayne Lucas has to be pleased that Michael Tabor, the owner, on Victory Speech, written by Gary Stevens, as he was charging hard to the wire, also chasing there both the eventual winner, Built for Pleasure, and of course Unbridled Song, who finished second. I'll tell you, Dave, you've got to wonder, Unbridled Song, they kind of just sloughed off his second place performance in the Holy Boom. I don't know if you could ignore this one.
Well, let's focus in on the unofficial winner, though, Built for Pleasure. Good horses are versatile. Built for Pleasure won wire-to-wire last out here at Gulfstream Park. Today, he comes wide, comes from off the pace, and wins it big. A versatile performer who probably will be heard from in the Triple Crown. And he battles back right here. Look at him. Just when it looked like Unbridled Song was going to get a second or third wind, on came Built for Pleasure to take it all.
I'd like to see that in a thoroughbred. He showed today he has heart. The son of home builder. His mama's name is Little Bit of Pleasure. Her sire's name was I'm a Hellraiser. This is Built for Pleasure.
They call it the sport of kings, but you can get a Sunday silence for a minimal amount and win a derby. The intrigue behind it all is that a cheap horse can turn out to be a champion. All the social events that surround the race or a day at the races, that's what it's all about. Just to get to the Derby, just have a horse run the Derby. I don't care if he loses by 50 lengths. I'd be real excited.
Make your bid for success at Keeneland's 2-year-olds in training sale.
For years, I dreamed of seeing Venice with my boyfriend, Tom. I'd whisper about palazzo gondolas. All he'd talk about is deadlines and business meetings. Finally, I went and booked 2 romantic weeks on the Grand Canal with my Visa Gold card. Tom was completely surprised.
Scusa, ma chi è questo Tom? Visa Gold. Purchase power to make dreams come true. It's everywhere you want to be.
Sun, fun, and the world's best horses on the run. You can have it all with just one call to 1-800-406-RACE. For as little as $4.49 per person, we'll jet you to beautiful Gulfstream Park in sunny South Florida and give you VIP treatment, including lunches trackside. As little as $4.49 for a 3-day, 2-night sun and fun great racing weekend at Gulfstream Park. Call 1-800-406-RACE today.
My name's Piano Man. My pro is Reese McBee.
I want to say something, too. Piano Man has changed his voice since y'all, you know, this is going on. Just be piano.
Oh, man,
yeah,
please.
Some people just know how to fly. They're flying northwest, I'll tell you why. Some people just know how to fly.
Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa. Today's coverage of the Fountain of Youth Stakes from Gulfstream Park is being brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. And by Wittenauer watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittenauer, the watchmaker's watch. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 1,100 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. This is now official. Built for Pleasure has made racing history here in the 50th running of the Fountain of Youth. Before today, the biggest payoff was $88.40 going back to Green Gambotus, owned by Harborview Farm in 1974. And now, Thomas Hurd Jr.'s Built for Pleasure has returned $288.20 for the win. Unbridled Song, the Breeders' Cup champion, second. Victory Speech was third. Let's break it down on the clock now with the Wittenauer split times for this mile and a 16th for this 3-year-old. There you see the final of 1:43 in 3. Had some pretty leisurely pace there to start with, and then finished up very quickly. Dave Johnson now with a winning rider.
Well, from riding cutting horses and rodeos in his native Alberta, Canada, here you are in the winner's circle after the Fountain of Youth. Gary Boulanger. Feel good?
It's a great feeling.
Hey, you rode this horse with confidence, not a 99-to-1 shot confidence. You were riding this horse like he was even money.
Well, he makes you ride him with confidence. He's a good feeling colt, and he's just starting to come around, and Tommy and Bobby and Mr. Hurd have done a tremendous job developing this colt, and it just came together at the right time, and he's showing it now.
Gary, let's take a look at the winning move here. There you're Neon on the outside, 4 wide.
Yeah, he's always been a little more comfortable when he was in the clear, and we've tried to teach him to relax and ride. He used to try to go to the front and he'd kind of hang a little bit, and his last 2 races, this race and the previous race, he's gotten more confident with every start, and he's just kind of playing with these horses. He likes to run with the horse, and he's not one to run in front and run by him, but he's doing enough to get there.
Is he doing enough to get to the Florida Derby?
It looks like he is right now.
Well, let's find out. Let's ask the man. Tommy, what's going on?
I can hardly wait. Thomas Hurd Jr., I don't have to hear this thing about, well, I've got to talk to the trainer, I got to talk to the owner. This guy is both. He purchased Built for Pleasure for $40,000 out of a 2-year-old training sale. I mean, what did you see that nobody else did today?
I had his grandmother won 5 or 6 stakes with her, and I got interested in looking at him. He didn't look like that much as a 2-year-old when I bought him, but I thought if he had his grandmother's heart, he's got to be a nice horse.
Jane, I know you got to be thrilled.
Sweetheart, I'm excited. I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
Well, now what's next now? Are you ready to go to the Florida Derby? Is that the next step with him?
I had him nominated in a lot of races. I had him in the Florida Derby.
tell you the truth, I hadn't really thought about that because before this race, I thought Unbridled Song was absolutely the best 3-year-old in America. And to beat him, to me, is really a great honor. And I had him staked all over the country, and so I'm going to have to sit down and think about it for a while.
Thomas, thank you much. Thomas and Jane Hurd, congratulations. Let's go up to Tom Durkin for a final thought.
Well, I think the horse that took the worst of it today was Appealing Skier, kind of a disaster for him. He went out for the early lead and came back. Didn't like his race. Unbridled Song, he's going to have to improve, learn how to relax. Victory Speech had to check real hard on the first turn. I thought he was very good today. Editor's note, lots of trouble. Chris?
Well, do you throw this primary out, or have we just seen a major upset that may turn into a superstar as Built for Pleasure beats the Breeders' Cup champion Unbridled Song and Victory Speech to the wire in a stunning upset in the Fountain of Youth, returning 288.20. Coming up next year, it's Score Center on ESPN. Scores updates coming up. 288.20 was the score today. The big upset winner in our first primary of '96 was Built for Pleasure. Thanks for joining us.